I'm Jeroen. As Valentin said, co-founder and CEO of Salesflare. I'm going to be talking about something completely different than the things you've seen in the past few panels. It's not going to be about growing your company to 100 people. It's not going to be about taking a lot of VC money. This is really going to be about setting the basics to build better products and achieve faster growth. As I said, I'm Jeroen. At Salesflare, build a more human CRM, a CRM that is more appreciated by its users. My background is in marketing agency before this, and a lot of it also in building software products. I come to you from the country of waffles, beer, chocolate, Belgium. But I'm also American. I was born in upstate New York just about 34 years ago. As Salesflare, we are a 6-person company, so 1/6 of the company is in front of you. And we compete with huge giants. This is HubSpot, you probably heard of them, Pipedrive, Salesforce. They are hundreds to thousands of times bigger than us. But if you look at, for instance, our scores on G2, if people don't know, is just about the most credible review website out there. Still not 100% credible, kinda. We get way higher scores on all fronts, especially when you look at ease of use. We're the 6th easiest to use CRM in the world of 600 plus CRMs. This is only because we really focus on that, so on creating value. That's the only thing we try to do all day, is building and building value. This means that we release every month 2 to 3 lovable features, so stuff our users we know will really appreciate. We churn out a ton of content that is valuable. You can find it all on the blog. This talk will be up next week as well. And we have a lot of conversations with our customers, because as far as I'm concerned, we only have 2 tasks, and the one task is talking to our customers, and the other task is building product and building content, really building out that value for our customers. So to win as a small company, there's a few things that are very important. One of them is customer understanding, another thing is speed, and a third thing is the speed at which you learn, basically. Now the question is, how do you achieve all that? I'm going to explain the way we think about these things at Salesflare. It's not so that you just copy it or anything. I'm just here to give you our view on things, and I hope you can find some things in there that you can take to your company, and that you can avoid some of the mistakes that a lot of companies make. So this is the very basics, and what I see a lot of companies do is being obsessed by a solution and falling really in love with the solution they come up with, instead of focusing on a problem, which is a first big reason why companies fail. Because if you are so in love with your solution is easily replaceable, and at some point you will be irrelevant. For instance, we focus on the basic problem that CRMs are all about data, but salespeople, they don't like to fill out the CRMs. So our CRM automatically fills itself, and like that solves a bigger problem. We kind of expand on that over time as well, with building more and more automation on top of that. But that's basically the essence of what we do. Now, imagine we would be doing this by building sort of like an automatic importer of email signatures. If one day Google or Microsoft or Apple decides to build this into their products or their email system, we would be fucked. I mean, it would be the end of our company. And actually, I know a company like that happened, and they got absorbed for a small amount of money. So really choose a problem that you know that will stick around for a while, and then think about all the creative ways you can solve that problem, because that's where you're really going to be adding value to your customers. So this is a slide to show off that the problem we focus on is very important. Second, solve a problem for people you understand. This is, as a starting startup founder, something that might be difficult to adhere to. But if you solve a problem for people you don't get, you will take so much time getting to know these people, understanding who they are, what their problems are, how they work. It's really making it all way more difficult for you. So if you want to save that time, pick a group you understand. We personally, for instance, work for agencies. Like I said, I come out of an agency, and software companies. I have a software company. So we really deeply understand how these people work, and that really helps us as a company to deliver the best we can for our customers. It is a very crowded space, so a lot of people tell me, like, what if you would make a real estate CRM? But real estate people are not really my people. I don't really enjoy going to real estate conferences. I enjoy going to conferences like this one. But at real estate conferences, I would feel really bad and just be walking around, talking to nobody, and that would be a really bad situation if I wouldn't enjoy talking to our customers at all. Another example, and it's one that really stuck with me, the first accelerator I ever did was the Founder Institute. I saw their logo up at the other stage. And one of the first slides the founder of the Founder Institute showed us was something like this. He said, if you are building this really fancy online car sales website, and it's really revolutionizing the way used car sales goes, that might be really cool in your head, but you will be working with, meeting with, and competing with used car salesmen. So in the end, it will make you a used car salesman. Some people like being a used car salesman, but I mean, yeah, just the example. A third one, and this is something that we initially also had a lot of discussions about, because what you might find as a small company is that you want to look credible. So you might find it a good idea that you look like a big company and you build all these processes and pretend you all have big names and all this kind of stuff to look more credible in the eyes of your customers, because honestly, who's going to buy Salesflare, 6 people, versus Pipedrive that has 600? Don't they have like a much bigger name? So should we then also start acting like a big company? No. I mean, we should exploit the fact that we're a small company. For instance, I connect with every user basically that comes on our software that has a company email address on LinkedIn personally. I'll ask them how they find the software. I still talk to a lot of customers, engage with them on Facebook, all this kind of stuff. Because, I mean, the CEO of Pipedrive would not do that at all. He probably almost never gets in calls with customers, except if they're really big ones. So we can really make a difference there with the personal connection, and a lot of people really appreciate that. Also, it helps you if from the top down you all understand, or the bottom up, doesn't matter, understand your customers very, very well. You can do the best job at serving them as well. So these are some of the examples. I spend my time sometimes on intercom, especially in weekends when our support doesn't work, or on LinkedIn talking to people, or engaging on Facebook, again on video calls, meet up with people at conferences, and it adds a whole other layer of relationship with our customers on top of the normal, like I buy a product and there is some support kind of situation. Fourth, is not to skip any steps. So there's a lot of people, especially in Belgium, that see us as an example of how you should build a SaaS company. They see our marketing and they like it, and then they contact me and they're like, can you tell us how we should do our marketing? And then I let them explain, like, what is it that you solve? Who do you sell to? And then I ask, like, how many people did you actually sell this to already? And almost invariably, they are at a stage that they haven't even sold to 5 people. And then I'm like, you want to start scaling your marketing, but you haven't even sold your product. How do you think that's going to work? You don't know exactly how to do repeatable sales. So if you want to abstract that one step up, that's not going to work. But that's something that people do, not just in marketing and sales, but just in general in a company. You want to be really fast. You're a startup, you need to move fast. But that doesn't mean you should skip steps. So really take your time to understand the problem, try a solution, try another one, and only at the moment that you feel that you nailed it, then you can start scaling things. So at Salesflare, we kind of did this from the start by accident, you could say, because we applied to Kima Ventures at the very beginning. It's a very stupid idea. But they said, read this book. And it's probably the only book my co-founder ever read when I asked him to read it. And it kind of set the tone for how we did things. Because what this book, it's by 37 Signals. I can really recommend it. You can read it very fast, in 3 hours or something. What this explains is how you should do everything in the quickest way possible. When Paulo yesterday was talking about experiments, he was explaining the things with the pebbles and the boulders, how you should, with the least amount of effort, get to the right solution. This is kind of explained in this book as well. And for instance, in the beginning of Salesflare, we started off with just a prototype, and we had this really crappy one-page website and a presentation, and we would go around talking to people. And we probably did around 60, 70 of these chats before we even started developing. And that's something that stuck with us all the way from then. And since then, we've always first built something to validate things, and only then put in the real effort to make it a real thing. Fifth, it's not because you should nail it before you scale it, that you shouldn't keep doing the groundwork all the time. When you start finding yourself doing routine things, like you start feeling like a robot, like why am I doing this again? That's when you should start automating. And that's that's one of the reasons we built Salesflare, because we found ourselves in sales really doing robot things, and we thought, can software not solve that for us? You should think about that in every little thing you do on a daily basis. Because in the end, the only thing that's gonna make you win is building that value, and a lot of these things are just secondary. Like in the case of our software, connecting with your customers is key, but documenting all that is just a supporting function. And if you can automate that as much as possible, that will make you way more efficient, and will make that with a smaller team, you can build way more value. Yeah, we have Salesflare, obviously, but next to that, something I can really recommend for any of those of you that don't use it yet is Zapier. We have 100 apps running in our company. We automate so much, just pushing data from the one to the other system, and it keeps the whole system running like a clockwork. Sixth, if you want to do all this work with 6 people, you really have to decide what's core. And like I said, building and talking to customers are core, but also in terms of what you're offering, what is exactly the core of your product. So we build an easy-to-use and automated CRM. The easy-to-use part means we focus a lot on UX, but that doesn't mean we build our own UI components. We use a framework for that. We connect with your mailbox, but that doesn't mean we immediately build the whole connection with the Gmail API and all these kind of things. First, we use another service to make that very easy. By now, we've decided that is part of our core, so some things start moving into your core, and then you start taking that in as well. Now, there's a ton of options out there, especially if you're in software development. Software development has got so much easier over the last, let's say, 20 years. You can almost build your product with stuff you find on the internet. Actually, the guys with which we share an office, they're the prime example of how you can do this. They first built everything with a database, Zapier and Slack, and only then afterwards started really turning this into a software solution. What they're doing, it's a sort of HR recruitment tool, because they found that only the human side that they're adding is really the core of things. So these are some of the logos of JS frameworks that are out there. There's literally a million of them. And seventh, and this is also super important if you're going really fast as a startup, always take your time to sometimes sit back, sharpen the saw. There's a few things you can do that are very easy to implement. What we do every 2 weeks is we call it team meeting. We take 3 hours in which we list all the positive things that happened in these 2 weeks and all the negative things. We find solutions for the negative things, and we decide what we learned from the positive things, and then we take that into the next 2 weeks. A second thing I find really important is really making this culture in your company where everybody can bring up things that are not going well, so that everything surfaces, so that in the end you can easily solve even the smallest things. It doesn't need to be big things, but if you make like 1% improvements every day, you know, the kind of cliche, then you end up with a huge improvement after a year. So all these kind of things are super important. It's coincidentally also not only the 7th habit of highly effective startups, you could say, but also the 7th habit of highly effective people. I can also really recommend this book if you're interested. That was it. Those were my 7 simple secrets. I hope you can take at least one of them home and build better products with faster growth. Thank you.
Thank you. If we have any questions from the audience, you can take one. Yeah, please.
Hi. Everything you explained, it's basically refers to a product company. I was wondering if you can give us some advice for a service company.
For a service company?
Yes.
What kind of service company?
IT services.
IT services. I would say many of the same things apply. It depends a bit. Some of the things might directly apply if your IT services company kind of builds products towards customers. If not, then let's say it's more about building the way you deliver your services in a qualitative way, I would say. I used to work at a marketing agency before as well, like I said, and what we found really important is fixing these very small little things that we knew would make the difference for customers. I would really focus on that.
Okay, and I have one more question. You said that you take time to validate something before actually implement it.
Yeah.
I was wondering how much time do you invest in validating something before actually build it?
Not much, because the validating should be as easy as possible. So like Paolo explained yesterday in his Jetpack example, if you were at the last talk on the build and focus stage, the build and scale stage. You can do these very simple things where you get people to do a certain thing, so you know whether it's gonna work, and then afterwards you can then build all the rest. But the essence is that you should take almost no time validating, at least just enough to know that your validation makes sense and that it's not a learning that is blurred.
So you can even do it manually?
Excuse me?
You can even do it manually, the validation process.
Yeah, you could do validation manually. The easiest thing is asking your customers, especially if you don't have that many. You can often not really rely on data. Then you need to rely on asking, not one preferably, but like a bunch of them to validate whether something would be a good idea. It's always better than deciding by yourself that something is a good idea.